The ring is polished. I finished up some of the angles. We got her fairly polished here, not final polish by any means. And by the way, it did go to about a 7.5, so that was just about right. So now what we want to do is go in and cut the tops of these prongs so that I can take a picture and show this to my customer before I set the stone. Because this is all, she doesn't know what this is going to look like, and just want to give her a heads up. So basically the stone is going to lay in here about like that. It's going to come out really nice. So we're going to cut the tops of those prongs off, which will be fairly easy to do. We're going to cut them extra long because we're going to not know where the prongs are going to drop or they're going to lay. So just nip off the tops there. And maybe even them up a little bit too. Actually, a file would do well there. Let's go ahead and go in with a file and see what we can come up with. There we go. Okay, they're all nice and even. And so now what we have to do is just kind of come in and even them up sideways, just so they look reasonably nice. That looks pretty good. Let's move this one in just a little bit. Nice. And at this point, let's put the stone in so you can kind of see it with the stone in. I mean, it's not down where it should be, where it's going to land. I'm going to pretty much land it almost on top of that bottom bar there. But for the moment, we can kind of get a general idea of what this is going to look like. You can see it's out way high. We take our pen and notice that the stone is sitting up pretty high from here to the top of the prong head itself. And so what we're going to do is just guess that we're a good 1/8 of an inch down. So the prong lands right there on the prong. It's on the prongs themselves. So if we just kind of guess about 1/8 of an inch further down, that's where our stone wants to land. Okay, and I think that's going to ride just fine. So that second measurement is what we want. Now the way I like to do it is to come in and measure from the bottom to the center of our line. A little bit more. There we go. And that looks like about it. Now I'm going to lock this thing down so that I don't lose my measurement. And then I can just come around and score with the calipers, score the metal. And you probably can't see it because it takes a bit to see it, but it's there. So let's talk a little bit about how this stone needs to be set. Most stones, if you look at them from a profile, you will see that the stone kind of looks like this right here. It has a very defined edge, and it comes down at almost that 30 or 60 degree angle. So when you cut the prong, you can cut it with a 60 degree burr and just have a nice little sharp edge, and this edge here would go right into that little pocket there, and everything would be fine. But this stone is different, and you'll see. Let's turn it over so we have an actual view of it. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but you'll notice that the shape of the stone, if you point it directly at us, looks more like this, which is definitely not that nice 60 degree wedge out at the point there. This part here comes down at a much lighter degree, and then this part kind of takes off from there. So the prong needs to be not only cut with that wedge like that, but then also this whole section here needs to come out too. So and in order for the stone to sit in there. But if you take this whole section out, then the stone kind of flops around, and so you got to be very careful to get the whole thing to kind of sit in nice and smooth. Now we have come in, and I don't know if you can see, that side's pretty good. This side I've done a little bit more, and what I've done is, and we're going to come in and do another drawing of a prong. It'll be something like that. Is I came in and I cut the V, and then I came in with a round burr and I rounded it off. So it kind of looks more like that. And you can see that in the little prongs right there. And then what I need to do is come in with a hand file and just go ahead and take out that one last little section down below. Okay, so we've got our marks on our pieces, or on our prongs, and that should take care of the main body of it. We've got a 60 degree cutting burr, very small one, and so we're just going to kind of come in behind the cutting burr, behind the prong with the cutting burr, and just score a little bit of a V. That's probably a pretty good start. All right, we got ourselves a whole bunch of little V's in there, at least on that one side. I'm going to do the other side, and we'll just come back in a minute once I get them done. Okay, so we're going to pull a burr from our set here, and I'm guessing one of the very, very small burrs is going to do the trick, and we'll probably come in with that one. Now that burr's got just that 30 degree angle at the tip, and then it's just flat for a ways. So I think we can come in and just catch the bottom side of the burr and clean that up a little bit. Remember, we're just barely working the bottom edge of that prong. That's one of them. Trying to get into the right angle here. do this last one and try the stone out and see if it works any better. All right, we'll pop the stone in and get it to kind of sit up against the prongs. Can you see that? And I've been using my optivisors. You can see them right here. And this is 3 power, which works really good in general situations, but I want to come in really close. So I'm going to a 10 power, which is going to give me the ability to come in super close and have a look at what the prongs have done, how the prongs are seating. And so far it looks pretty good. We got one over here that's just a little bit high. It needs to be brought down just a tad. And this one probably is just about right, but it needs just a little bit more room because that girdle's nice and wide. So we will come in. There we go. Now, much better, much better. We still need to get some more off of that though. Let's get some off of this one. Oops. And you can see this is the most tedious part of the entire process is getting these prongs to sit just right. Because if they don't sit just right, for one, the stone's not going to sit in there just right. And for another, it's entirely possible that as I pull the prongs down, they will chip that stone. Now this stone's got a pretty good sized girdle on it, so the chipping issue is probably not as big an issue. But still. Okay, let's look and see what we've come up with here. I think I'll just keep it in the shade. Notice how all the prongs are all just bent up and twisted around in odd directions and everything like that. Well, that has to do with getting the stone in and out. As the stone gets closer to fitting, you have to begin to bend back the prongs. Like grab them right here and bend them back so that the stone can fall in and out. So you can check it. Now, I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if we can bring it in closer here. And probably not. But where I ground it is pretty chewed up. So I kind of have to come back in and do a cleanup before I set the stone. So let's do that with a diamond burr. We've got the stone in place, sitting pretty square on the bezel and in the ring itself, in the squareness of the ring. So I think we are pretty much ready to go ahead and roll our prongs over and see what we can come up with. So we'll start with the weakest prong, meaning the prong that is going to have the least amount of grip. And we go across and grab another one and kind of bring that over. And then the one that's kind of sticking way out there, can you see that? We'll grab that and bring it in. And then another one over here. And we're just kind of bringing them in slowly and carefully all the way around the oval. Now, it looks pretty ugly, right? But in a few moments, we're going to see the results. Dang, that one looks a little bit low. Notice this one right here. The wedge is just a tad low. Looks like the stone is still sitting, well, the stone is still sitting a little high over here, so maybe we can bring it down. That's the thing about the prongs, is you kind of maneuver the stone with your prongs. Now it looks good, except it looks to me like this edge over here is high. So we bring that back down. And in fact, the edge that's high is the very prong that's not seating properly. So I'm going to bring a couple of these prongs just back open just a little bit to allow me to drop this part in just a tad more. Sometimes using my fingernail. Everybody else looks really good except for that one. But that's how it usually goes. Stone is a little bit high over here. Let's see if we can bring this prong in. Ah, that helped. And let's just open this one up and loosen it just a tad. Looks good. Okay, now we've got these ugly prongs sitting way up high and not really doing much and kind of looking pretty trashy. Now watch, this is the magical part actually. We're going to come in and we're going to cut these prongs off at the level of the stone. Now they're still going to be long, but they're not going to be as long, and they're going to be more uniform with the stone. Okay, that's getting closer. Everybody's looking a lot better. Now what I like to do at this point, and you can see that a couple of the prongs are a little bit one way or the other, is I come in with a pair of tweezers or pair of pliers and just kind of bring them around so that they're all nice and even with each other. See how that just kind of straightened those four out? And then also the same with these four here. This one looks like it could move up a little bit. That one up a little bit. This one over just a tad. Yeah. Okay, that has that part. Now we're going to come in and cut the prongs down even just a little bit lower with the smaller cutters. All right. So we've got ourselves a stone firmly positioned in the prongs now, and notice how everything's kind of flattened off and looking pretty good, but still not quite the way, you know, a normal ring would look. So we come in with this set of burrs, and these are called inverted burrs, and we find a burr that's going to actually fit the prongs. And that one looks pretty good. Put a little bit of wax in the burr, and then come in. I don't know, can you see that? Yeah. Come in and just, the inverted burr has cutting edges on the interior of the cup, and they're sometimes called cup burrs. And as soon as we get all the wax out of there, you'll be able to see that you end up with this nice little rounded top. Now the key is to not hit the stone while you're doing this, because of course you'll grind a little notch into the stone. But it's pretty easy to do it without hitting the stone. I always just listen and feel for odd, different kind of a grindy sound and grindy feel, rather than that nice smooth metal to metal contact. There's 4 of them. And there's 5. Number 6. 7. And number 8. Pretty good. So now it's smoothed off, but it's still got some rough edges and stuff. So we take it over to the buffer and we just kiss the tops of these things to kind of get them to be a little sparkly. And I will be back. Okay, the ring is all finished and polished and cleaned and all back ready to go. All we have to do now is put it in a container and send it to her. So I think she's going to be very happy with this. I'm certainly happy with it.